You guys get me a whole 15 seconds early today. Wow. I just wasn't going to sit there and watch a 15-second countdown. Um, while taking a look at this, there, I really like the Warp terminal. And it's way better than the intelligent terminal that Microsoft released at Build. Um, it has some interesting issues. Um, and so running this stuff in the actual anti-gravity client is probably the better way to go instead of with the CLI. CLI does okay for most things. Guys, so come here, Sunny. Oh. So this is Sunny. You guys have probably seen her. She's a bit crazy and way too smart for her own good. We used to be able to, we have a baby gate. And we use it to keep her out of like the upstairs, the downstairs, and like different parts of the house where we don't want her. Well, today she decided that she's going to jump over this baby gate. And the baby gate probably is a little over 3 feet tall, so right around a meter. But she's decided that she will not be contained. So I may get distracted a little bit today as she chews on my toes and just decides to get some attention. She's a good little pup, but she is a bit of a monster. She does what she wants, and she knows what she wants, and she's gonna get it. But she's cute, so she's got that going for her. Anyway, you know what? Let's kick some stuff off first. Are you kidding? No. Sorry, you guys. I gotta go. She just decided to. I had to upgrade my router. She just decided to grab some wires and go chew on them. I'll be right back. It's probably not safe for her to chew on this stuff. Hi. All right, thank you. Probably heard me moving around. I didn't mute the mic, but this is what she had. It's looks like a Cat 6 Ethernet cable, wrapped in plastic, which perfect for puppies to chew on. You are just exploring and being crazy, aren't you? Anyway, thank you for that, you guys. Let's where was I? We were gonna get started. Next Sunday, Father's Day, here in the US. I'm not gonna stream on Father's Day. I'm gonna go spend time with my family. So we won't be streaming next Sunday. I think that's the only bit of announcements I've got going on. I don't have travel planned or anything like that. Excuse me. I just got the hiccups for some reason. And what are you? Thank you. I don't know where she's finding. She must be pulling it out of the garbage can. That that puppy. She just pulled that right to my feet. Anyway, I think that's all we've got going on. Let's take a look. Before the stream, I just wanted to take a look at the package JSON and figure out what could be upgraded. and you guys probably saw this before the stream. This is what brought on my conversation about warp. Warp was freezing, or anti-gravity was freezing in warp when I tried to run the same prompt. It was freezing when it was trying to run PNPM outdated. It looks like ng-neat spectator, we're probably going to need to fix that. The OpenAI stuff, we're going to need to fix that too. This is interesting because I did run the migrate latest before, and this doesn't work with NX for whatever reason. Could be my setup, who knows. But this is the analysis. We've got 36 outdated packages. There are 12 major upgrades. That's a bit concerning. So the Volta environment, this is another thing I want to do, but I don't want to do it on stream. Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't use ng-neat as much as I used to. I don't use spectator as much as I used to in the past. Ole, you saw some cool new UI libs. Let's see. Let's see what you saw, Ole. Oh, Radix NG. We took a little. We took a we took a look at this a little while ago. I would. So when we get into the A2UI stuff, I want to take a look at that a little bit deeper. Yeah, these are. Oh, that's interesting. Wait. Oh, I'm being dumb. Of course, this is how an accordion works. Only one section's open. I was like, wait, why does me clicking here collapse section 2? That's exactly how an accordion should work. Alerts. Oh, they've got avatars. This is not bad. Oh, they've got virtual scrolls. Virtual scrolls are nice. When you've got a ton of information to show, that's really cool. They've got toasts. Of course, they've got the classic tabs. These look pretty good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, these look pretty good. The modal. Oh, they've got, I mean, your classic sliders. I do like loading skeletons. That's really cool. What is a sheet? Oh, slide out from the side. That's cool. Resizable. Very cool. Classic progress bar. Popovers allow you to build some cool stuff with that. Item. What is an item? Oh, just something. A pager. The inputs, nice. Date picker. This is an important one. No, why would I do that? So arrow keys work. That's cool. Very cool. This looks nice. Add it to my list of things. That looks really, really cool. Yeah, the first indicator is whether it has a combo box and a date picker and drop down and pop-up animations. Absolutely. You reminded me of something that I want to take a look at. And there's a lot to upgrade here. These are low value. Giving good advice on how to run NX. But yeah, we'll take a look at our testing libraries. I think we put every testing library into this project. And we probably don't need to anymore. Oh, the agents is out of date. We can take a look at this stuff later. But I do want to take a look at a few things. We don't need provide HTTP in Angular 22. I think we need provide HTTP. Are you talking about the with XHR stuff? Let's take a look at that, right? And actually, we've got the Angular skills installed. npx skills. We'll make sure that we upgrade the Angular skills so they're the latest. Provide HTTP clients. Oh yeah, you're right. They did change things just a little bit. We want the Angular developer skills. We aren't adding any. So we've got Antigravity and a few other CLIs set up. We're going to keep it installed to this. Yep. Boom. So that's good. So I'm curious, with this change, what actually changed? Signal forms. So the signal forms changed. I was like, wait, what? I thought this was something that I had done. No, I did do this. This is me upgrading the skills. So there's a little bit done with the signal forms. But I'm very curious. So we'll go ahead and stage all this and then push it. That is probably not a good probably not a good commit message. I should review those better. One thing I wish I could do is bind this zoom in to a key. It's not bound to a key. Oh wait, it is, maybe. Never mind. Never mind. I have to hold down shift to do it. So new conversation, right? So I'm just gonna copy what Ole said. And I'm just gonna say, hey, my chat on stream said, is this true? I'm really curious what the Angular skills and Gemini will say. So yes, it's true. You're 100% correct, Ola, here. Provide HTTP client is the correct name. There is no provide HTTP in Angular. The function you need is indeed named provide HTTP client. Yeah, so providing the HTTP client with XHR, I think this is what you were referring to. I think it was provide HTTP client, right? Yeah, we don't need the HTTP client module. Yeah. So I think you're right. I don't think we made that change though in the past. What I do want to do though is I want to get in and actually do some coding today. I know it's weird coming to one of my streams and actually talking about some code. But if we look, okay, things are slow. Maybe. Oh, yeah. You know what's going on? I'm not serving the application. I was like, oh crap. Michael, hello from Reddit. Wait, what am I missing? What did I miss? Did somebody say hello that I missed? Or are you just saying hello from Reddit to Michael? Anyway, let's try this again, right? There we go. So now, right, we've only got the ones with feathers. We've got the ones no feathers. There we go. It's taking a little bit of time for that cache to warm up. That's all good. And that all works. The other piece that works, well, not really, because the save button is disabled here. And I've got the console open down here so that we can see it. But the save button is disabled, but we've got no errors. So we've got an issue that we aren't showing errors. So you can see now that this shouldn't save, actually. Because it should fail on there not being a description. But our delete works. And the other thing is, like, if we come into this dinosaur and we go to edit and we change the has feathers, we can't save it. So we've got some issues going on with our application, and that's the piece that I want to take a look at first. And so let's go ahead and stop serving for right now, and let's bring up Antigravity. So there we are. We've got all of this. Oh, I did want to talk a little bit. Last week, we ended with some frustration around not being able to serve the application. Turns out that there is an issue upgrading. I'm just going to close all. So it turns out that there's an issue when you upgrade TypeScript And the TSC compiler is causing issues with Nest. And I'm not sure how to make TSC work with Nest. I actually worked on this for about 3 or 4 hours after the stream last week, trying to get TSC to work. What I wound up doing is what was suggested by NX in their docs, and that was moving to SWC. And so there was weird gossiping about you on Reddit. Oh, great. That's awesome. Anyway, there was a part in the stream where the AI suggested, hey, we should use SWC. And I stopped it and I was like, we don't need to use SWC. And that that became kind of a mess. I don't want to join things. Toolkit mutations. Yeah, we have talked about this before. We could talk about it. We can talk about it in the future. But yeah. But anyway, what wound up fixing everything was adding SWC. And you know what? We should probably go over that. If you guys are curious, you can review the branch. The published branch works. So like at the end of the last stream, right, we removed this I removed this stuff. So I ran this test for safe navigation. These both print out undefined. So it's not doing what I thought it did. It's just allowing undefined to work. That's what the safe navigation wrapper is doing. It's not changing it to null. So then the next piece here was adding SWC jest and SWC helpers and SWC loader. And if you have the NX.js package, you've already got SWC installed with your NX in your NX workspace. So you can move to SWC easily doing that. But in working through it and working with the AI, it suggested the SWC helpers because it's going to make things load better in SWC jest, makes the jest tests run, and then the SWC loader is necessary to use SWC. I had to add an swc.rc, and we're targeting ES 2022. We're using TypeScript with decorators and dynamic imports. Like without this stuff, it wasn't working. We had to use legacy decorators and the metadata, and all of this stuff had to be there, and then common JS packages because we're building with Webpack. The easiest piece here was really getting to SWC. It's really just changing TSC to SWC. That's all it takes to get that to work. And then in the app.json, this is me trying to get TSC to work. So like the root dir stuff and all of this stuff was trying to get TSC to work, and it just wouldn't work. This stuff wasn't necessary for SWC. And then this is some more stuff used like to make jest tests work. This is all on the main branch now. And then after that happened, there were some other issues. This is an auto-generated file, but the auto-generated file had to be fixed. One of the things in moving to SWC is I had to be more explicit about the string stuff here. So we can see these fields were nullable, but I had to say, hey, they're string, but they are allowed to be null. So all of those fixes had to go into place. And then the PNPM block, and then everything worked. So yeah. Hey, Marco Rinaldi, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. And welcome to the stream, Spillingut. I am butchering your name, but welcome. Thanks for being here. I didn't know we can call signal method with a function. It's a really cool feature. I needed it today. This.log sum. Yeah, so you can call a signal method. Oh, that makes sense. You should be able to pass that in. That makes sense. But very, very cool. I didn't know you could do that either, Ole. Rx method. I reminded you of something. Oh, what did I remind you of? You guys are doing your best to keep me out of the code today. I love you guys for it. Signal method is a standalone factory function used for managing side effects with Angular signals. It accepts a callback and returns a processor function that can handle either a static value, a signal, or a computational function. Yeah, I use this all the time in my stuff. I use signal method and Rx method. Signal method, actually, I tend to use Rx method way more than signal method. But yeah. So log double number can be called with a static value or a type number or a signal. And this is the example that you were using here, probably. Yeah, automatic. Yeah, signal methods have automatic cleanup through the effect that they're talking about here. And this allows you to pass in like an observable and then know that that observable will be unsubscribed. It's really, really nice. So yeah. Actually, I think signal methods been around for a while. I've been using signal methods and Rx methods since component store. Yeah, creating a computer. Nobody is coding anymore. AI has replaced all developers. Fair, because that's actually a lot of what I do anymore. I just code up skills and say, hey, do your thing. It's the same concept of with computed. It's possible to create directly methods without computed wrapping. Yeah, that's totally correct. But yeah, those have been a signal method and Rx method are two of my favorites. And we could probably even find some in the code here. So if we look for Rx method, so like on this Dyno's CRUD store here, right? We're using Rx method. And the Rx method is giving us the ability to call delete Dyno. And when we use that, we can pass it a signal, we can pass it an observable, we can pass it all sorts of stuff. So that's one place we're doing. We're also using an Rx method here on our save. And we're using another Rx method here on the save. And we used an Rx method with send to OpenAI. I'm not sure. Are we using signal method in here? No, because the reason we're using Rx methods here, and the reason that you pick between the two of them, right, is this delete Dyno mutation. No, that's not even the case. We could have used the signal method here. The reason that we're using the pipe and then the tap operator here instead of observing a signal for change. And so this winds up being like the RxJS method to do it. And typically I use this. So like here, we can see that we're piping in an observable of dinosaurs. We're using switch map on it. We're using tap. We're using filter, right? So we're using the typical RxJS streams. On this delete Dyno, I don't think that we necessarily need to use Rx method here because we're just running it straight into a pipe operator that's going to a tap, which is a side effect, right? So I don't know that we need it there. But here, where we're piping it into switch maps and things like that, and again here, where we're piping it into exhaust maps and things like that, then it becomes important to use Rx method. We could probably change this one over to a signal method. But yeah, Rx method is really, really powerful. And if we look at usages of this, so if we go to like the reference, they're not references. Why am I not references, show call hierarchy? Like, shouldn't the references? Well, we can search for it, right? Delete dynos. So we can see in our dyno, no, that's not what we want. Oh, I've got delete dynos. I want just delete dyno. There we go. So here on the dyno store, oh, so on this dyno store, you guys can see, and let's close this stuff over here. So we're calling the delete dyno method, right? But we are passing in this observable. And so this dyno modal, when it opens, has an observable of confirm delete, right? And so this confirm delete gives us the dinosaur name and stuff like that. So anytime this is clicked, this observable will emit and we'll get delete dyno called. There's one thing we have to do is we need to provide the injector here because this isn't set up in an injection context. And delete dyno and anything that's an Rx method or a signal method needs the injector, or it needs to be set up in an injection context because it's using that effect to grab the injector and use the, when the injector is cleaned up to figure out when to, clean up the subscriptions and handle, effects and things like that. So this is an example of us using delete dyno, and we're just passing in an entire observable. So delete dyno, the method we were just looking at, right? This handles subscribing to that observable that we're passing here. And then it's calling the delete dinosaur mutation on our service. And I think this is probably why this delete dinosaur mutation is calling to a GraphQL. And that's probably why we put it in an Rx method. I don't remember exactly why. But yeah, this is really, really powerful. Being able to throw a signal in here or an observable in here or a value, it's a very, very powerful thing. For delete dyno, it's better to switch to a signal method. Well, then let's do that, right? So let's do that. And because we're modern developers, we're going to do it the modern developer way, right? So the delete dyno method is probably better off as a signal method instead. of a Rx method. Let's make that change. So wait, if you're passing an observable, you cannot pass it. Spill and gone. You're gonna have to give me a bit more than that. If I'm passing an observable, then even if we swap this over to a signal method, we should be fine. No, this is wrong. So it's trying to find it everywhere. Let's give it some more context. The delete dyno method in the with methods of the dyno crud store.ts. Need to give it some more context. It was really out in the weeds. So let's see what it changes here. So it's taken the Rx method out. It's added a signal method. And it looks like we're good here. It looks like this should work. So yeah, we'll accept these changes because they should work. And let's go test it ourselves, right? Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh, come here, Indy. Let me show you guys something really quick. So if you look under my desk, I've got this like little beanbag thing. My other dog that you can see over there was sitting here, and my puppy crawled in on top. And so my older dog, Indy, is angry and was growling at her because Sunny decided to take her spot. You are a little troll, Sunny. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to add a test dyno here. Test. This should not save, but it's going to save anyway. Boom. Right, and so now we've got our test dinosaur. If I hit delete and I cancel, it stays. If I hit delete and I confirm, uh-oh. Interesting. So the delete is working. So if we go and we add the test, boom, 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 and we save that. I want to get these forms fixed, but this right here, when I hit delete and I hit confirm, we can see that the delete happened. Oh, never mind. The delete did happen and the table updated. It's just really slow on the delete. That's crazy. Why is it so slow on that delete? So here's the dinosaur here. We hit this delete, boom. Oh no, now it's fast. I don't know what was going on. Something was going on, probably caching. So Jason, could you check this one? Let's pretend the store is provided in root. What is this one? I'm absolutely happy to run experiments with you guys. Reactive store methods. Are you talking about this stuff here? In a more complex scenario, opting for RxJS to handle asynchronous side effects is advisable. To create a reactive signal store method that harnesses RxJS's APIs, use the Rx method function from the RxJS interop. We are doing this, so here, yeah, we can see the pipe, the debounce, and all of this stuff here. We're doing something very, very similar in our save method. Where is our save method? So here, this Rx method is very much more complicated. And it's the same. So we just added a dinosaur. So we called and tested this method. If I call load by query, do I need to add something like take until destroyed or some other alternative inside of book services? Basically, do I need to track when the component is destroyed? No, and that's what we were calling out here with where is it? Was it here? Oh. What did you do here? Oh, that's not needed anymore. But this is what we were calling out before, right? With the needing to supply the injector. With the injector, you can grab the you can grab the destroy ref from the injector, and that's how I do stuff too. So usually what I'll do is instead of setting up something similar like take until destroy or things like that, if I'm using the if I'm using an observable, I'll usually use a destroy ref and use that destroy ref to clean up the subscriptions that I create. I need to accept these changes too. What changes did it make? So signal method. Yep. And then the delete modal component. And then the dynos table components. So we looked at that one. Did we look at the delete modal component here? No, we haven't. So we're taking out the subject here. Oh, this is interesting. Because of what we did, we no longer need confirm delete. It can just be an output. That's a good change. And then we just emit it. My JSTS server keeps crashing. Interesting. I don't know why that's happening. So we looked at the Dinos CRUD store and we accepted everything here. So that's good. We looked at the delete Dino modal, I believe. We did. The Dino table components. It looks like we've accepted everything there. And I think we're good. So I think we're good there. Let's just make sure that we run our tests one more time. So let's go ahead and add a dyno. And this add here is going through the functions that we're using, right? So our test here, it was added. So that's going through our RX method. So we know our RX method works. Am I sure I want to delete this dyno? Absolutely. And it takes a little while, but there we go. So that's all done. We're good to go there. Let's go ahead and commit this. So we took out the subject. We simplified this by quite a bit by turning our delete into just a pure output. That's nice. We've got our injectors and stuff here. So our confirm delete now just calls our delete on the Dino store. Man. That's why we were doing it differently. So we're handling the confirm delete here. That's fine. I'm not a big fan of this, so we'll clean this up. Eh, that's me just being pedantic at this point. We're gonna leave it. The rest of it, we took out the signal method, or no, we added the signal method. We took out a bunch of the pipe stuff and the RX method stuff here, and then this is all working. So that's all good. But yeah, that was a good call to swap it to a signal method. But yeah, you don't have to do, when you're using signal method or RX method, it's using the injection context or the injector ref that you pass in, and it's using that to get the destroy ref. And the destroy ref will emit when it's time to, when the component, right? So when whatever that's injected in is destroyed, then it will emit and clean up. So you don't have to worry about it. The signal method from the documentation, it only accept a value or something value signal comprehensive. No, when we look at the signal method here, where do I have that? Signal store. This is our signal method, but a signal method can take, it's a factory function for managing side effects with angular signals. It accepts a callback and returns a processor function that can handle either a static value, a signal, or a computation function. Oh, interesting. That's why we were using an RX method. You're right here, Spillingon. I thought that a signal method could take an observable, but I'm wrong, and that's why it made the changes that it made. So you're right there, Spillingon. Load by query RX method. So you've had injector confusion with them before. Yeah, it looks like it cancels a subscription if you pass an observable as a param in the RX method itself, but it doesn't cancel inner subscription. Yeah, it won't cancel inner subscriptions. Hey, Sky Zero, welcome to the stream, man. I'm a bit late on that. So can you test it? Can you make your store provided in root? Oh man, you're gonna hurt me here. I am not a provided in root type person. Can I make my store provided in root? Oh, do I want to do that? So I'll tell you, Ole, right now, the best way to do this is I took that out. Yeah, it won't cancel. But the best way to do this is like if we take a look at this RX method, right? And one thing we could do is we could say, hey, log observable here. And this is saving added dyno. Right. And so what we can take a look at is to make this provided in root. Is it here where we do it? I don't even remember how to do it. So we've got the state. Is there how do I make a store provided in root? That's how little I've done it. Let's make oh, this isn't a store, this is a feature. That's why I can't do it here. So let's go, and I can't make it provided in root, Ole, because I would have to change the entire design of the if you remember, we've got the add and we've got the edit store, right? And then we're providing these to the, so these are not the stores, but these are the store features. And these are being provided to the overall, let's see if I can draw a dinosaur here. That's not a very good dyno, but whatever, right? So the overall dyno store either gets an add or an edit, right? Added to it with the with method, or not the with method, the signal store feature, right? The with add dyno here. So this with add dyno is injected at the time when we need to provide the store for an add. What we have done though is we've added this log observable. And so what we can do is we can go take a look here. And you can't find log observable. Yeah, you can. Log observable. There's something going on with my TS stuff here. But in my with add dyno, we'll just go ahead and add this. And you know what? Let's try shutting down Antigravity and just restarting it and see. The TS service is probably dying. Why am I configuring a custom type? I don't know. I really don't know why it would do that. But my log observable is now there. So now when I refresh this, we'll be able to see down here. So when I hit add dyno, we should be able to see test, test, test. So save. When I hit save, we can see that we got the next method here on that. We got the saving. So the value here, and this is pretty small. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. There we go. So we've got this random value here, right? So that should have been cleaned up. Let's go in and edit this dyno. Let's go back and let's delete this dyno again. So we'll add a dyno. Test, test, test. Feathers. Save. So we're getting a different subscription here. But we're not getting the destroy. But we aren't getting, so here we get 1, we get 2, 2, right? Saving dyno. We get 1, 2, saving dyno. So we aren't getting multiple. Like the reason I add this is if we were getting multiple, we would be getting another emit on this same value here, right? So we add this randomized value here. And we're not getting it here, right? We're only getting 1. And these are different, right? Z1V versus CEI. And so every time we add a dyno, we're getting a new observable. I thought this would emit when, or this would log when the observable was destroyed, but it's not. One thing we could do is we could add the So yeah, I want to cancel return dyno service create pipe stop this, and that should cancel, um, because the observable is destroyed. It would probably take some more testing to figure that out, but it should cancel that. I'm fairly certain it will. I just don't have things set up in a way that we could do what you're wanting to do. But we can see that we're getting new observables every time, and we aren't getting multiple emits, right? So when you're leaking subscriptions, the way this log observable helps you figure that out is we would see this saving and this saving, right? And so like now if we add another dyno, test, and that, right? So we've got this dyno. Now if we delete this, we only get one deletion, right? And it's a new one. So we can see this is an MQE12 16 GSZ. This is probably difficult to see. And this color is probably difficult to see also, but we're getting a different observable here, and we aren't getting the other two observables. That means that it's cleaning up after the save is all cleaned up. And when you subscribe to that pipe, it's handling the cleanup at the time of subscription. So the canceling should happen for you. You may have to do some special stuff with cancellation using like a destroy ref on the thing where the observable is set up, but the subscription itself will be handled by the cleanup from the RX method or the signal method. If you start deleting and navigate to a different page, will it cancel deletion? Oh, I don't know if I can do that fast enough. So let's see. Test. Do that. Save that. So we're gonna boom, or that. No, it's deleted faster than I can navigate. So if we watch this down here, so when we save this, we've got it all in place. As soon as I hit this button, it's already deleted before I can get up to another navigation. It's just fast, right? If I navigate away, it won't cancel that because the service. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. We'd have to build something to do that. With a slow network, change your network to 3G. We could try. We can go to GPRS, right? So this is like a 50 kilobit modem. So like this was, when I first got my first modem, this was a really fast modem. I know it won't cancel when provided in root. Yeah, I don't know that it will cancel here either. This will be funny. This is like dial-up speeds here. So if I hit save here, I mean, that's still pretty fast, even at dial-up speeds, because the what we're transferring is so little. So let's hit delete, confirm, add dyno. Yeah, I mean, the amount we're transferring is so little that even at 50 kilobits, even at 50 kilobit, we're still faster than I can move. So I don't know. We'd have to build something in that would cancel automatically. But I don't think. Well, and even with throttling, right? Even if we throttle at 50 kilobit down, 20 kilobit up, um, if we look at the amount of data transferred, right? So like it's 94 bytes, it's 151 kilobits, or 1.51 kilobits. It's not even 151. At 20 kilobits or kilobytes, at 20 kilobits, this is still less than a second, right? We're still like like less than or slightly more than 1/20th of a second, right? So what is that? Like 50 milliseconds. Um, so we're still like this is 50 milliseconds. That's still pretty fast. Um, but yeah, we could probably do it. What I'm willing to bet happens is that the other thing we did, that delete won't cancel, and that's the other piece, right? Because when we changed it over to a signal method, um, so one thing we could do is go to the network, set the throttling here, go to add dyno, and we go test, test, test. We go 1, 1. I hit save and then back. So using my mouse, I navigated away. And now if we look in the console, it looks like it canceled it, right? Because we didn't get it. So here, oh, did I break something? What did I do? I may have broken something. Let's serve this again. And let's stop this. And let's refresh. Okay. Oh, um, let's try this. There we go. Yep, you're right, Ola. I had a slow network, but it did add it. So for you guys that don't know, I've got like a back and forward button on my mouse. So this is me hitting the back button. This is a forward button. So what I did with that add is I hit save and then immediately hit the back button. It didn't cancel Ole. So even if it's not injected in root, it's not doing the cancel. So yeah, it won't cancel the inner observable, like you said. It will cancel the subscription. So you're not going to leak subscriptions, but the observable itself will stay for as long as needed, right? So that observable went through and did the save, even though I did the back. So if you need it to cancel, you're probably going to have to build something in, and you're probably going to have to use something like log observable or something like that that's logging all of the events so that you can figure out where to hook in and how to handle it. And it will be some observable debugging, but it should be fairly straightforward if you need it to cancel, like say somebody hits back or navigates away or something like that. But we've confirmed that even when not injected in root, it doesn't cancel. And I may not have been able to navigate back fast enough, to be honest. It's just that the slow network throttling was causing all the issues. I was like, oh no, what did I break? But yeah, we're in a decent state. I often run into this myself. So why did I always think it should clean up everything? So it is cleaning up. It is cleaning up its own subscriptions, right? So you're not leaking subscriptions, and that's the biggest problem when you're working in RxJS. And that's why people, are saying use the async pipe or things like that. When you subscribe yourself, and you don't delete those subscriptions subsist, not subsist, they exist beyond the life of your component. And because they're a reference to something that's not, being cleaned up at the end of your component lifecycle, they are in turn causing issues with memory leaks, right? Like your components can't be cleaned up. Your subscriptions are going to continue to respond to emits and things like that. So that part is being cleaned up. So it looks like you need to add take until destroy in the store. Maybe. It depends on what you're doing. I'm not going to go that far yet, but it is a possibility. But it really, like, the store is cleaning up the subscriptions that it creates. That's the thing here, right? It can't. The thing is, the store can't cancel that observable, and the reason for that is, let's say you've got this observable here, right? And then you've got a signal store here. Right? And let's say this signal store starts observing this observable. But let's also say we've got another observer over here. Right? And maybe another observable or another observer over here. Right? If when the store is cleaned up and this is destroyed, right, and this is destroyed, if this killed this, then these two lose their subscriptions to that observable that we're observing, right? And so it's not good design to have this kill this, right? Because this observable could be observed by other outside observables that aren't your Rx method here, right? right? So this Rx method is just one of many observable or observers to this observable. And this is the thing about the observer pattern, right? Is we're just observing something that's happening. The observable is just out there saying, hey, something happened, something happened, something happened, something happened, right? Um, me stopping this is not the way to like this can't happen. Um, so yeah. Yeah, if you leave a page, you want to cancel it. Um, absolutely. And the way to do that is to clean up the observable. But the store, if the store starts the observable, then it should clean it up. If the page starts the observable, then leaving the page should clean up that observable. Does that make sense? So putting the take until destroy may not be the right place to do it. It might be where the observable is created. Um, Give me just a second. There's something going on in the other room. Everybody got home and they're talking about something the puppy did. So let me just go check on that really quick. All right. Anyway, the whatever creates the observable should be cleaning up that observable. Observers to the observable should be cleaning up their subscriptions to the observable. And that's what take until destroy does, or other things like that, right? They're cleaning up their subscription. But cleaning up the actual observable is the responsibility of whatever creates that observable. Does that make sense, Ole? Yeah. Um, and that does make sense why things happened the way they did. It looks like it should be, yes, but it looks like it should be an automatic cleanup. Maybe? Let's take a look at that. And maybe it is a bug, right? Like that's the other thing. Do I have throttling still on? No. Okay. So upgrade Angular 19 changes subscriptions to RX method ref. So we're using an RX method here. We're piping, delaying. Oh, you're saying this should be canceled, right? Um, yeah, so they're adding the injector here. Yeah, so the manual cleanup section here. If a reactive method needs to be cleaned up before the injector is destroyed, manual cleanup can be performed by calling a destroy method. So you can call the manual destroy here. When invoked, the reactive method returns the object with the destroy method. This allows manual cleanup of a specific call, preserving the activity of other reactive method calls until the corresponding injector is destroyed. So yeah, you can create this and set it to this, but I typically just use the injector piece and let it clean up after itself. But I haven't. I see what you're saying with the search. Yeah, I see what you're saying with wanting to cancel a search, but in that case, you would probably have to add the destroy method so that when it's destroyed, you could run the cancel on the you would have to set up the destroy in that destroy handler. You would have to set up the cancel yourself. Um, I don't think it can automatically do it itself. It will clean up subscriptions so that future emits won't cause that code to run again, but it won't stop something that's currently running. And we were able to prove that out here, and it sounds like your own testing has proven that out too. Um, so yeah, I think that's what we're looking at here. Marco said, RX methods should be connected to the component's lifecycle, and obvious your component gets destroyed, it should. I agree with that. Yeah, Marco, I agree with what Marco's saying there. So if it's not doing what it's doing, then maybe we need to raise an issue. I don't know. But no, that was an interesting. Those are good points, and some stuff I need to think about too. Fascinating. Yeah. There is no need to do a manual cleanup because automatic cleanup will happen on component destruction, and that's what I figure. That's the way it's looked with me. But yeah, what does Control L do here? It just opens the agent on the side. Here's where I want to go from here. I've got about a half hour, and we aren't getting any errors in the form. So like if we go here and we click edit, the save button is disabled, but there are no messages. And I don't know why, right? Like why is the save button disabled? What's going on? So let's start with that and see if we can figure out why the edit isn't working, and then from the edit we'll see if we can figure out why the add is not requiring a description. So in the edit form, the save button is disabled, but no error messages displayed. I have no idea why the save button is disabled. Are errors not being displayed? So we'll let it work through and see what it figures out here. This is a bit of a big change. This is a big change from the way things worked in the past, right? Like in the past, if we got to this point, we would be adding breakpoints and debugging points and all sorts of stuff to our code. Now, now we ask the agent, hey, what's possibly wrong, and see if it can figure something out. If it can't, then we're going to get in. Sure, you can run the tests, but they aren't going to do anything. Edit dyno components. So it's looking for some specific stuff. One thing you can probably do here is while it's working, it probably doesn't make sense to serve the application. Sure, you can read the environment file. It's already serving that. Okay, PNPM exec nx serve. We're going to serve the Angular dynos. I have the what do we say? I have the app serving. Try running the navigation verification again. So it's going to navigate to localhost 4200. Is it not? It should be. Yeah, it returns immediately. was trying to use playwright. Um, okay, so it's saying the validation errors are not being displayed. This happens because of the template logic and the button configuration. Why the errors are hidden. The validation messages require a touch state, and the template field specific error messages are only displayed once a field has been marked as touched. Oh. The save button is disabled too early. The save button is disabled as soon as a form is invalid. No way to trigger submit helper. Under normal conditions, clicking a button linked to submit automatically marks all fields in the form as touched. Because the button is disabled, the user cannot click it. The fields are never marked as touched and the validation errors remain hidden. Are validated by the Zod schema, but have no corresponding input fields or error blocks. If the validation error is on trivia, it will block the form from saving, but there is no element in the template to display it. Yeah, let's go ahead, implement the fixes you describe. Let's see what happens with this, right? So the first thing, it's adding computed. Interesting. So it's adding a section saying, hey, if the form is touched, here we aren't going to disable the button. Form errors computed. That's an interesting one. So we'll allow it to lint and make sure that everything is good. Let's go ahead and just test this. Let's go edit here. Our save is here. The data has some errors. Please fix them to save. Okay, but what are the errors? Like we aren't getting all the errors displayed. So we allowed all of those changes. Making those changes allowed the error box to show at the top, but no errors are in the box. So I'm curious what errors we're getting, and we may have to actually just buckle down and figure out what errors we're getting. Add some debugging. Because if we open this, let's clear the console. Let's go edit. We'll clear the console and we'll hit save. It should save. Updated at must be a date. Oh. Well, that's interesting. So it moved from errors to error summary. And the error summary is giving us that error. So the updated at is not properly. So now we see errors, but the summary is complaining about updated at. Is my logic for this not providing a proper date? I'm not even sure where updated at happens. Oh. So we skipped the updated at. Wait, this doesn't look like it works, right? No, we don't want this. Let's go take a look at our stuff here. So these fixes help. And we're gonna have to clean this up a bit. So here, it's the Dinos CRUD service. When we add Dino, that's just adding the log observable. So it is the Dinos CRUD service. And it's really starting on line 125 where we want to fix this stuff up. So at line 125, we want to take out the updated at here. And the updated at here. And here, this should just be a new date right now. Yeah. And this, we don't want that. So we weren't adding the updated ats into our stuff. So let's make sure, if we go take a look at the changes now, so now all we've got is that being a new date. So that should work. So now if we go take a look here and we refresh, now I should be able to say, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What happened here? So let's cancel, let's go edit, save. This thing is crazy. Why am I getting... So here's the combined GraphQL errors. Variable $ data got invalid value. Okay. So we've got some bigger issues here. What I am going to do is I do want to stage all these files and commit them. So that's helping. However, man, oh man, do we have a giant error here. And I'm not sure what this error over the top is. We're gonna have to figure that out too. But we're getting this giant, now I'm getting a GQL error. And it looks like, hey, Alex, I am having a fun day. I'm actually writing some code today, man. What version of Signal Store are you using? I just checked. It does cancel requests as expected. Then maybe my test was bad. I'm using the latest version of Signal Store. So here, if we pull up our package.json. And we look for ngrx/signals. I'm using 21.1.1, and that was the latest version as of this morning. So let's see what it did. So dinosaur update input, we will accept that. No. We don't want this to happen here. Update Dino. Oh yeah. And where did convert to create Dino come from? So that was already there. Interesting. I wonder why that needed to happen. So now if I save, that should work. Okay, and so now if I go edit and we save there, now our Diplodocus has feathers. Now it doesn't. Do you guys? Here's a interesting bit of trivia that I just learned. So Triceratops didn't have feathers, but there's a new Triceratops that was discovered, and it has the horns and then the frill, right? And we'll see how good of an artist I am with my shaky hand, right? With this trackball mouse, but this is our Triceratops. Wow, did that leg get the 4-star treatment? So, right, these are our legs on the Triceratops, but they just discovered a Triceratops and it's got like quills on its back, which is fascinating. You'll have to go look it up. My drawing's terrible, but they found a mostly intact skin and body impression, and the Triceratops had quills on its back, similar to like a porcupine, which was fascinating. But yeah, let's make like our height negative, and so we're getting the error here, which is good, and we're getting the error up here, which is good. Our stuff looks just terrible, right? Like the error messages look terrible. If I take this out, does it? Oh no! Oh no! Let's see. Can I find the Triceratops description in here? Diplodocus. Oh no. Let's just go really quick. Give me a good 3-sentence description of a Triceratops. Can you condense this down to 3 interesting sentences? I'm just asking Chrome right now. I'm asking Gemini. There we go. So one of the interesting things about Triceratops is Triceratops is the only known dinosaur proven to have injured or killed a T-Rex. So this is a fascinating thing about Triceratops. Triceratops is the only dinosaur that we have fossil records of it actually injuring and killing T-Rexes. So very, very fascinating dinosaur in and of itself. It was perfectly capable of defending itself from the largest known theropod in North America that was actively hunting dinosaurs at the time. There are fossil impressions of Triceratops horns, where you can see where the horn has gone through the skull of a T-Rex, or where they have gone through like the leg bones and stuff like that. So Triceratops was very capable of defending itself against the T-Rex, and just recently they found fossilized blood inside of one of the largest T-Rexes. And that fossilized blood, when they run the spectroscopy on it, the blood actually shows a very high incidence of chemicals that lead to the probability that T-Rex was like a hyper healer, meaning that when it was injured, it healed very, very rapidly. It showed a high incidence of hemoglobin and other things that carry healing agents to muscle and bone. And so T-Rexes, because of the way they were, where their face was there, and they didn't really have a lot of defensive capabilities outside of that mouth and that giant, those giant teeth. The realization is that they probably healed incredibly fast, and they never stopped growing. So T-Rexes got very, very big because of their ability to heal and grow. They also just recently came out with a study, and you guys are getting nerd sniped by dinosaurs today because we actually are in the application talking about dinosaurs. But they released a study on 3 dinosaurs that have, T-Rex has the infamous really, really short arms. They're not the only ones to have that evolutionary trait of really, really short arms. They just released a study on 3 separate theropods that evolved on 3 separate continents. So it's unlikely that they share common ancestors and stuff like that. And based on the study, they measured the size of the skull versus the body versus the arms. And as the theropods became larger and larger and became more and more of a prime predator in the area, the size of the skull actually determined what they could kill and eat. But having the arms with a large skull, the arms actually worked against that. And so the arms, the evolutionary pressure was to create smaller arms on these large theropods. And so there's three independent theropods that have evolved massive skulls and really tiny arms. So the current thought is that T-Rex was a very active hunter. And the reason the arms were so small was not because they were useless. They were probably stronger than our arms and able to do things, but they didn't need those arms because the skull was the primary hunting mechanism and the arms got in the way. That's the current thought on that. Um, Alex came for the signal form, stayed for dino facts. Dude, I love dinos. So if you don't know, um, I grew up in southeastern Idaho on a potato farm. Um, my grandparents lived in Vernal, Utah. Um, and if you guys don't know much about Vernal, Utah is like dinosaur capital of Utah. It's just this tiny little town on the Wyoming-Utah border. Um, and Dinosaur National Monument in the United States is very, very close to Vernal, Utah. So I grew up as a child going to Dinosaur National Monument. And if in the US, Dinosaur National Monument is this basically it's where a ton of dinosaurs got killed and fossilized very, very quickly. It's just like this giant wall. You should look it up. It's just this massive wall of all of these dinosaur bones. It's one where they found like some of the most complete Stegosaurus fossils, some of the most complete Triceratops fossils. There's just tons and tons of dinosaurs in this monument. So I grew up going there. So I developed like this fascination for dinosaurs. And so I watch lots and lots of stuff about dinosaurs. I read up on dinosaurs. I like to keep up to date on, the most current dinosaur theories, as to, which ones had feathers, which ones didn't, right? Like that's a big debate and stuff like that. But yeah, I love some dinosaurs. Um, so um, I'm sorry. What browser is this? Hey, don't apologize. NG tan TAI. The browser I'm using is a version of it's a Firefox browser. It is. Why can I not think right now? Zen. I'm using Zen. Um, And I like Zen because it works very, very well for streaming. Um, it it's a Firefox based browser. It's not a it's not a Chrome based browser. But with streaming, there's a lot of tools that it gives me with like controlling over dark mode type stuff and other things like that. Being able to segregate things out like that. So I'm using Zen. Um, Looks like you're talking about me trying to code on Monday. um, Luckily, I'm off next week, so I'm not going to try and code. Actually, the only coding I really get done is personal coding anymore. I spend a lot of time evaluating AIs. I spend a lot of time um, writing proposals and things like that. I really don't get to write a lot of code. And that's why, when you guys come here, you guys probably know a lot more than I do about modern Angular, and I appreciate it. I really like that the Angular agent is so smart and can help. But yeah, this stream, we use Angular as a vehicle to talk about good software design. I used to be much better at Angular than I will admit to now. Um, I feel like I'm a strong Angular developer, but being as cutting edge as I used to, Michael, Oleg, they're way ahead of me in that respect. Hey, TBD Gamer, good to see you here, man. Um, Guys with a weird browser keep themselves awake each night, dreaming that someone will ask them what browser they use. I don't use Zen too much outside of streaming. And that's the other thing here, right? Like one of the things with streaming that I that keeps me up at night. And this this is a little behind the scenes type stuff, but this is my personal computer. And so any passwords I've entered, any personal information that exists in my Chrome browser. That's my daily browser. Um, and so when I was coding and using Chrome, it always worried me, and I never got into like Chrome profiles because Chrome profiles would require me to do something that I'm very bad at, and that's remembering to do something before stream. And so I'd have to switch to like my streaming profile or something like that. And I was just really worried that someday I was going to give out, personal information for like one of my daughters or something like that. It really, really worried me. So the best way to do it is I found Zen to be a really, really good browser. And it's completely isolated from Chrome. So I keep Zen and Chrome completely isolated from each other. And that way, when I'm streaming, I use Zen. I've got Chrome up on my other monitors. But when I'm showing stuff off, I'm using Zen. And the reason I'm using Zen is only because I want to keep things segregated and I want to keep what I show on stream very, very separate from, my day-to-day driver. Chrome's Flex CSS WYSIWYG is goated. Yeah. Chrome is very, very good for a lot of things. And you guys will see that sometimes when we're doing stuff on stream, I'll swap over to Chrome because some of their tools are really, really good. And Firefox has some very, very good tools too. And maybe now MCP form integration. Yeah. When we get into the web MCP stuff for this application, I definitely want to start taking a look at that. I like Chrome Speculations API, one of the best features in my opinion. I'm going to have to take a look at Chrome Speculations API. What is that? Chrome Speculations API. Oh. So the speculations API is a way for you to tell the relative prefetch stuff, right? And Firefox doesn't have it. Safari doesn't have it, but the Chromium-based browsers do. I didn't realize that this was called the speculations API because I use this all the time. And I didn't realize that Firefox and Safari don't have this. Oh. Today I learned, thank you for sharing that, Sky Zero. I didn't know what this was called. Like I use this, prefetch and stuff like that. I didn't realize that this was very Chromium specific, that the rest of the browsers hadn't caught up. If we look at the full compatibility here, so we don't have speculation rules in Firefox. Safari looks like they added them and there's no support. Why do they have, oh, it's hidden behind a feature flag. And Firefox doesn't do eagerness, another feature flag for Safari. Yeah, the prefetch key, the pre-render, like Firefox is losing horribly here. And even Safari is doing very, very poorly here. Yeah, I didn't realize that this was the speculations API. Thank you for sharing that. That was the web MCP stuff is very, very cool and something we're definitely going to get into here. It goes deeper. It's a script that allows you to speculate which pages you want to preload or pre-render. And in theory, it shouldn't be a problem, even if it doesn't work in Firefox or Safari. Yeah, it was right. It will ignore it, right? But that means that Chrome performs better, is just basically what it means, right? It can also be applied from the server side on a web server or in Cloudflare, which see, and that's where it gets really cool, is you can centrally manage. So when you talk about an organization the size of the one that I work for, centrally managing Cloudflare deployments and being able to control prefetch from a central place is a big deal. Very, very big deal. I imagine it's the same way with, big companies like Google and other just like really, really big companies. So being able to do that at the Cloudflare or at the server level is a very big deal, and I need to dig more into that. I'm actually taking some notes as we speak right now on that, because that's something I want to dig into as a way to help performance, not only in my own stuff, but even in my professional stuff. So thank you for sharing that. I didn't realize that it was called the speculation API. Right? Like most people do very, very, and you'll see the link rel equals prefetch or stuff in scripts that get added by a lot of stuff. So I'd be willing to bet that most people here are using the prefetch API on a very basic level. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong here, Alex, but I think Angular by itself has some prefetch stuff built into it. And you could probably correct me too, Sky Zero, or Michael, or any of you guys. I think, and this is me, right? This is me remembering stuff that I've seen in the Angular main and bundles and stuff like that. That there is some prefetch stuff, there is some speculation stuff built in. So anybody who's using Angular is using the speculation API, but definitely correct me if I'm wrong here. Anyway, there is one last thing that, oh, no, I should probably end. Yeah, I should probably end. I'm on vacation next week, and before I go on vacation, when my daughters were young, we built a play area for them in the backyard. I want to get. We've got like this big swing set attached to a slide and stuff. I think we bought it at Costco or something. I want to get that disassembled before I go on vacation. So I need to make sure I give myself plenty of time to do it. The thing that I want to take a look at in the future is I would like to see. So we swapped over to these messages, but like the description's not being shown. The name must be at least 3 characters long. Like this stuff is only showing when it's focused. This stuff isn't. And the description isn't showing any error messages. And I'm not sure why. If we take a look at the Zod logic for that, that might be a good place to start. So let's see. Description. So in our schema, So yeah, so if we take a look at our description here, it's showing that it has to be a string, it has to be at least 3 characters long, and it should be saying, hey, please provide a better or empty. Oh. I did this. This is why I thought that there was an issue here. So if I go A, I was just giving invalid input B, C. Well, that wasn't B, C. I don't know how I managed to type and. My hand was definitely in a weird position trying to type ABC here. That explains it here. And if we, okay, so it's giving invalid input. Which is not good. But we want to make sure that we fix this up. The other thing is that the creation, so this is the base dyno. I guess we are allowing an empty. But anyway, what I want to take a look at is this is obviously pretty ugly, right? We aren't getting error highlighting on stuff where we should have error highlighting. I want to clean this up too. And this, we took it out on purpose. I'm going to take it out again because it's hideous. So on the edit dyno components, yeah, we're going to take this out. This is hideous. And that means we can take out the computed also. Because yeah, that stuff is pretty terrible. I mean, it was something we added before. But what we should be seeing here is we should be seeing the issues above here, right? Similar to that. So these are good. I'm not sure why these aren't showing up, but the other thing that we want is this should be showing up in the error color. And so we want to fix that, right? Yeah. So we definitely want some better handling of the errors here. We'll be looking at that. But again, next week, Father's Day, I won't be streaming next week. We'll be streaming the week after on the 28th. So I look forward to seeing you then. We're going to clean that up. The other piece that I want to do before we get too deep into stuff is we have a couple of custom components here. So we've got the add button. I don't think that one's anything special. The add dyno component, what does this do? I don't even remember. Oh, that's just the this is the provider. It's the edit dyno components. It's like the yes/no component, right? The yes/no component, we're using just the classic component. We can convert this into a signal store component. And no, this one, no. Where are my inputs? They have to be here. Dyno's UI in my components. The add button, delete button. Dyno errors, dyno tables. I thought there was. Because like this yes/no component, this is the yes/no component, right? If we inspect this, yeah, so this is the yes/no component. So that's not an input component. If we go here and edit a dyno, like I thought we created a custom component here. I thought we had some custom components here. Did we take them all out? Did we convert them all over to signal forms already? That could be the case. If that's the case, then we're in a good place to where I want to take a look at A2UI and build an agentic AI or build an agentic UI and potentially run that against something like a Qwen 3.6 or something like that. So we're probably pretty close to start doing like an agentic UI, and then from there we can start looking at web MCP. And once we've got those two in place, I think we'll be done with the Dynos API, and then we'll be looking at something new. I do want to go back to our roots and make sure that we get the Sudoku game up to Angular 22 and modernize that. So there is that piece coming, and then after that, I want to think up something to do. I've been thinking about some games to build. So yeah, but you guys have a great rest of your week. If you guys celebrate, have a great Father's Day. If not, then we'll see you in 2 weeks on the 28th. But yeah, thank you everybody for being here. We'll see you next time.